The task of the prophetic ministry is to nurture, nourish, and evoke a consciousness and perception alternative to the consciousness and perception of the dominant culture around us. We need to ask as prophets, not whether it is realistic or practical or even viable, but whether it is imaginable. We need to ask if our consciousness and our imagination have been so assaulted and co-opted by the royal consciousness that we have become robbed of the courage or power to think an alternative thought. In other words, it's very simple. As we come out of lockdown, and this is what Jeremiah was doing, he was giving them a message to say, listen, use your prophetic imagination. Allow God to, in the lockdown, allow God to conceive and to birth in you and to incubate within you. Allow God to excavate within you a vision about the possibilities of the future that are not determined by the experience of the present. Don't allow the exilic period, don't allow the lockdown to define what you're going through and what you will come out of as you journey forward into the future. Allow your prophetic imagination to take place. You know, in the book of Ephesians, the Apostle Paul says, now unto him who's able to do exceedingly abundantly more than you can think or imagine. Most of us as Christians stop at thinking. The prophetic task of Ezra and the prophetic task of Nehemiah was to get the Israelites whose mind had been assaulted by lockdown and exile to go into a place where their minds were liberated so that they can now be freed from thinking and move into the realm of imagination. You see, thinking is an analytical part of the brain. Imagination is a creative part of the brain. And when God wants to do something new, he doesn't look for analysts, he looks for prophetics. And as we come out of this lockdown, we've got to find, no matter what we've been through, because exile and lockdown are never good times, but when we come out of those times, we've got to have that prophetic imagination that allows us to see something new and something fresh that God is calling us to. And that doesn't just mean in terms of your job. It could be in terms of your relationship. It could be in terms of your employment. It could be in terms of your health. It could be in terms of your emotional and psychological well-being. Whatever your exile is, whatever your lockdown is at the moment, God is calling you and I to develop a prophetic imagination. And those of us that will develop that prophetic imagination become the symbol of prophetic possibilities for everybody else that is around us.